everyone. Okay. And this is one to where I really was trying to do this more in like a class style and have the actual any meeting space available for you guys. But for some reason, I'm not sure why my password is not working. And if I'm trying to go through the whole thing to change my password, I wouldn't have got this done before I had to go to cheer practice. So I promise I will do this and try and get it with any means where I'll do it as a class, like in more of a class setting. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it live for now, just to kind of give you a basic rundown of Rhinestones, like, how to use the Rhinestone feature. If you do not have Designer Edition, you will not be able to do these, at least not with the actual tool in the system. It is available in Designer Edition, then Designer Edition Plus, and Business Edition. They have the Rhinestone feature, but it is also a they have like some advanced options to it. I'm not going to go too much into the advanced options. This is going to be the basics of getting started with Rhinestones. I'm going to kind of give you a quick overview. When it comes to advanced things and like multicolor and things like that, that is not a part of the free tutorial, unfortunately, guys. I try and give you all as much information as possible. Some of it, you can end up researching yourself if you don't want to wait for the class or if you don't want to pay for the class. But this is going to be the basics of it. When we get into more advanced things, unfortunately, guys, that is a paid class. So going to go ahead and jump into this. When it comes to Rhinestones, and I'm sorry, you may hear my niece. My husband went to go get my son, so she's kind of there playing with the car. So I do apologize for that. Again, I was trying to do this before he left to go get my son, but it just didn't work out. Okay. You can turn pretty much anything. This is just text. So I'm actually going to make a duplicate of this text box, and I'm going to change the font to Impact. I'm going to zoom in a second, guys. Just give me one moment to get it all set up. So I'm going to change that one to Impact, and I'm going to pull in a heart. So let's go with, I'll go with one of my favorite ones. I'll go there, and so with this one, I'm just going to release compound path, ungroup, and weld to get rid of those middle parts. Okay. And for this one, I am facing my phone. So if at any point you have a question, feel free to go ahead and ask at any time. Okay. All right. So to get to your Rhinestone tool, it is this icon right here. It's next to it's in between effects and the sketch. So you'll click on that. And this is the window that you will get. Okay. You can choose edge. Linear is where it's going to be lined up completely. The radial is it's going to fit a stone wherever it can go. Okay. SS6 is really small. Your SS10 is kind of like your decent. It's like it's not too big, it's not too small, and then it goes up from there. With the basic one, it's really hard to, well, actually I'm saying not even say really hard. With the basic one, these are the options that they give you from SS6 to SS20. Anything larger than that, you will have to have DE or you would have to have DE or Business Edition, because in the advanced is where you can go and put a customized size. So I'm going to actually just click on this. That one says 16. And I always forget how to do this one. Actually, let me apply to edge. I believe after that, let me see. Okay, that's what I'm missing. Alrighty. It is, I don't see it. There's supposed to be a plus sign here, but I don't see it to select a different size stone. Why is it not letting me do it? Okay, why are you not letting me be great right now? Okay, here we go. No, that's the, okay. So, user stones. So I click down here, and then this is where I can change it to a different size stone. So for these, it's only available in advanced. I personally don't really care for the advanced. The way that it kind of moves, the basic actually works better for especially up to 20. When you get to the advanced one, like how it kind of arranges them, I'm not so much a fan of them. So I typically stick within, the SS20. If I have to go higher than that, there's a way to fiddle around with it. But again, that's something where that's more so like I developed those things out of just like frustration and like, okay, I have to get it done. I prefer the actual circles compared to these little wannabe realistic rhinestones. So yeah, but that's the only place that you can change it to a different size stone other than SS20 or 20 SS. Okay, so I'm going to go back to regular rhinestones and get rid of that. Okay, so all you have to do is click on your image. Then you're going to let it know whether or not you want it to go on the edge. I'm going to make a duplicate of this. Whether or not you want it linear. And again, it will fill it in. And then the last one is radial. And so it'll kind of fill it in any way it can. It doesn't have to be completely lined up. And I'm going to fill these with color just so that you can see them a little bit better and how it fills in. Give me 1 second. Don't want it to die on me. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of how it's going to fill in. Now, when you look at this, I'm going to zoom in to right here and went in a little too far. I've seen quite a few people to where they will use the rhinestone tool and whatever the system spits out is what they will use. And it's not always the best result. So things that most people I realize don't, understand about how the system works is the spacing and being able to place rhinestones individually. So for this one, I'm going to go with SS16 because that's kind of the one that I cut out already. You can do different ones on here. I'm going to show you a template that I created. Whenever you're working with your stones and you're not really sure, especially if you don't have to do this with just hot fix. You can use regular stones and kind of create yourself a template that you're going to have to hand glue. And where is it? So you don't have to use just hot fix. So a lot of the times your hot fix, they'll tell you exactly what size. But just in case you ever mix up your stones and you're not sure which size is which, make yourself, I'm going to try and zoom. I make myself a template. This is just the one I did for this class, but I have some that have, like, if it was a design, it's just a sample one, and it just has the holes on it so that I can put my stone up to it, and it's labeled like SS6, SS10, SS16, SS20. And then that way I can put the stone on it, and I know which size stone I need to use in the system. So, if you can make it just one straight line, you can make it one circle. But I would recommend that for you, so that you always know. I mean, I have a book where I kind of keep things in. I'm working on putting it, all the stuff that I have and I've developed, putting it in book form for you guys, to kind of help you keep up with notes and things like that, to where it's a little bit more organized. But there are certain things like, whatever your settings that work for your blade, you need to mark those. Mark what settings your blade, what settings you need for your blade when it's brand new. After 3 months, it may be different settings because the blade isn't as sharp. After 6 months, the settings may be different. After a year. So, your blades and then mark what your settings are based on intervals. So things like that is what I put in my notes for Silhouette Studio and things like that, just so that I never forget. I write down and I put in there the settings that work best for each material. That way I'm not second guessing and having to do a bunch of trial and errors. So that's one thing that I would recommend that you do, is keep a notebook of all of your important information, things that you find out that you can go back and reference to yourself in your own handwriting in a way that you would understand. So that's that. Now, and I actually just want to go ahead and show you. See how this one here is SS, and my mom is here, so give me 1 second. I'm going to have to go open the door. But you can see I use SS16 here. This is SS16 here. But you can see the difference in how it, how this one is. I've modified this one. So there's a significant difference because I filled in the top. Let me let my mom in. Give me 1 second. In here with me. Grandma's out there. Go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Like I said, my mom's here, so try and help me do this. We have to go to cheer practice. I promise I will try and probably come back tonight, do it tonight and figure out what's wrong with my any meeting and do it that way. But for this, your spacing, you can either hit the down arrow and you can see how it's going to move. It moves to me kind of sporadically, and it's like 1 inch down will move the stones so far apart and things like that. And sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense the way it is, but you can do that and move and, change the spacing on it. So that one there kind of filled it in, at the bottom, somewhat at the top. So you can use, oh, you gonna close the door? Thank you, Mama. So you can use the spacing to arrange it. Sometimes what I'll do too is I'll copy it and then I'll paste it in front. I'm going to make this one a different color. And when I go back to the stones, as I move the spacing around, it's going to fill in a different way. So I may see a stone, okay, this particular spacing, I got more stones filled in on this side. So I'll kind of combine them both to where it's like, okay, I know I can put a stone. Like I use that as my guide to where to put an additional stone at. So you can do that too. Whenever I'm doing this, it's not a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Yes, the system comes with a rhinestone feature, but you will have to do some modifying and some editing to it to get exactly how you need it. So to release this, you're going to go ungroup first. Then you're going to come here to release rhinestones. You do not want to do release compound path. Like when it gives you the option, it's not release compound path. You have to come over here to release rhinestones. And then that way it doesn't move all over the place and they stay, where they are and they actually separate. Okay. Now you can move them around. Even before you release stones, if you wanted to, you can use the single click. Just make sure that it's always still on the stone size that you're working with. And then you would just go ahead and, is that the same size? Yeah. You would place a stone there. And then you go back to select to move those stones around. So I'm going to actually take this one and move it down some, just so that this is not, actually, did I use 16? Yeah, I did. So within here, now that they are released, I'm going to click and I'm going to kind of move them around, move it down some. Now, single click, add one right there. Go back to select, move this one over, down, and or. Okay, so you kind of see the difference as far as filling it in and then filling in those gaps. Okay, so now everything is there. I could actually take this one and move it up some so that it rounds out a little bit more at the top. So that's how you would correct it, and you release your stone so that you can add more to it. So now I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to do this one as a linear fill. And certain stones and the way this system is set up, you may not see full definition based on a certain size. You may have to increase the size in order for it to really take shape. It may not come out exactly how you want it. If it's too small, you're not going to see definition in the letters and the stones. The impact does really well with lining them all up. So you can kind of see how that is. Let me fill that one with color just so that you can see it a little bit better. So with the S, like you can really tell that's, well, yeah, kind of, sort of, look at it the wrong way. It may not look like an S. Like if I was doing this, I would actually remove some of these stones so that you could see it a tad bit better. But that's linear. I'm going to show you radial. So, and then that one, it moves around again. It's not where it's all lined up. They're more so sporadic. They're in a line, but more of a line going around rather than a line going straight across. It's more like curving in a circle. So again, I'm going to ungroup, release the stones. May take a little bit longer because it's a few more. And you can move certain ones. Actually, let's go with deleting maybe this. Do I want to delete that row? I think I do want to delete this whole row. So I play around with it to kind of make sure. See, now to me, it looks more like an S because it's not flowing into it. When it's a font, it's different. But with the stones, you want it to look like the shape. So now it looks more like an S because I took those stones away. Now I could do it to where I would make the stones closer. So I'm actually going to, so you can see the difference, select all of these. Copy it, and I'm just going to undo back before I released. Okay. And there. And again, you would change the spacing on it. Okay. And then if I paste in front, I'm going to move this one, actually group it together, and then is this one still, yes, this one is still ungrouped. So, hey, hi, Jeremiah. Okay, guys, close the door. Close the door. This is an informal class, but mommy's still doing a class. Come on, go, Kristen, grandma's out there. Take Sparkle with y'all. All right, close the door, Chrissy. Go out there with them and close the door. Or MJ, close the door. Okay, don't start crying. Okay. Sorry, guys. MJ, pull her and close the door. Thank you, Papa. Sorry about that, guys. I thought she wanted to go with my son. She didn't want to go, so she's kind of mad at me because I made her leave out the room. But I thought she wanted to go with him. But you can see with closer, this looks more like an S compared to when it was spread out. So you want to make sure that the same way with, regular text, when you want things to kind of look a certain way, you move your character spacing, you move your line spacing. It's the same thing with the rhinestones, okay? Now, the one thing with the advanced one is you can kind of do edge and linear at the same time. So I'm going to go to advanced. And let me move these out of the way just so that I can bring this back to the white area and zoom in on it. Okay. So with this one, you want to click on it. You're going to click on, a stone. So let's say I want it to be SS16. And then you have to tell it what you want it to do. So I'm going to go in radial. It says spacing on it, Ashley. So you can't miss that one because it says on there spacing. Okay. Now, this is the one thing that kind of bugs me when it comes to the advanced. With the basic one, if you hit edge, it's going to go to edge. If you hit radial, it's going to automatically just move that one to radial. With the advanced one, it gives you a whole new set, and that drives me nuts. So it's not really advanced the way they do it, because it's going to give you a whole new set. It doesn't just switch it. So that's one of the things I don't like, and I still hit radio. I meant to go linear. And so that's one of the things I don't really care for when it comes to the advanced. You know, it just adds it on top. Now, if I want to go to the edge, like I said, it adds it on top. So let's say I go with a pink SS20, just so that you can see the difference. And then now I'm going to go apply to the edge. Okay, so you can see it kind of overlaps the other ones. That's another thing that, you know, it kind of bugs me with it. So if you're wanting to do it to where it's on the outside edge, you could either do it this way, and then you have to physically, once you release it, go in and delete those outside stones if you want it this way. Or the other way that you would have to do this, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to put an offset on it. No, Advanced is Designer Edition Plus or Business Edition. And cancel. This is the other thing that drives me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So I always forget, you have to release this before I can use the shape that's back there. So I'm going to go here and go back to Rhinestones. I'm going to move this out of, well, actually, here we go. Select it all, hold down Shift key, select the stones, and now I'm going to do an offset. Okay, it needs to be a little bit bigger than it's like 1.5, depending on the design, kind of sort of works for it. It kind of varies depending on the design, but the default or 1.5 normally works. And then I'm going to go back to Rhinestones, go to 20, and then I'm going to tell it to apply it to the edge. So there it is encapsulated. So you would have to do it, you know, as an offset. You can do it that way. But again, that depends on how wide the design is, how you want it to look. Like I said, these I don't really care for. I don't really care for how the system kind of works with, you know, within here, because you have to do one every time. You can't just like, okay, I want to see how this looks. I want to see how that looks. Like if I were to take this exact same heart, and I'm going to go back to regular Rhinestones, and I'm going to go edge. Then I'm going to go linear. It changes it like that. Advanced, it doesn't, and it's a pain in the butt. Okay? If you don't want to see the stones in this, take the color away, add line color, and you'll have just the circles. Okay? So you can go back to where you're looking at it just as circles. You can see better here with it being circles where some of these stones overlap. So you have to make, you know, look at it that way and then go back and completely recreate it. Because if you just stretch it out, actually I have both of them. If you click on this one and just stretch it out, it's just like with anything. It's not going to really maintain its proper, like, proportional offset. Although you can bring it out just a little bit. But it's not, actually, let me fill in that one with a color. Actually, no, not line color. Fill color. And then this one, a separate fill color. Okay, so you can go back to stones. You don't have to leave it in their realistic looking stones. It's supposed to be to where if you want to do a mock-up, you can show them what it will look like with the stones, but they don't really show up that well, especially in print. So yeah, but that's like that in a nutshell as far as the difference between and the standard. With advanced, you don't have to you don't have to release there like the. So for this one, once you pull it away, there is a counter here. And as long as you're doing the rhinestone, you'll see how many in your circles, you won't see that. It won't break it down. I know you can't really see it here. Again, wish I can do this from any meeting, but it was not allowing me to get in. So it does have a stone counter. Okay. And then you can go back to the basic to ungroup and release, well, ungroup and release the stones. So let me zoom back out. Okay. As far as what I did, I was telling you that these created with the advanced. But if you do not want to see the in advance, they don't give you the circles. This is the one from regular rhinestones. This is the one that's available in designer edition. So it's this one. In advance, it doesn't give you just the circles. It's always going to be in a stone pattern. So I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to go SS16 and I'm going to go apply to edge. Okay. Here, it's the rhinestones. Those to me can be very aggravating trying to look at them. They wanted to give you those so that it gives you a realistic looking, oh, the connection. Oh, okay. I'm not sure why I'm still showing a full bar on mine, so I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's that. And then if you don't want to see them in this state, you would just remove, well, change the line color. And then the fill color clear, like make it blank. So blank and line color. You can make the line color whatever you want. And then that way it's more so the actual circles. Okay. I know I kind of rushed through it. I just wanted to, because some people asked about the rhinestones. I wanted to give you a quick overview, like a detailed overview, because in the Studio 101 class, I kind of just skimmed through it. Are there any questions on anything studio related when it comes to the stones? I'm going to show you really quickly some things as far as like, I guess, DIY version you can do your templates with. But as far as studio, are there any questions? Okay, so for templates, you can use a wide variety of things. There is a gentleman that I watched on a YouTube video a while back, and he even says that it wasn't his original idea. Someone posted it in another, I guess, another forum or somewhere on the internet, where basically what they did was they took flocked heat transfer vinyl and they pressed it down onto regular 651 vinyl. That way, when you cut it out, the back is actually sticky, and it comes out less expensive that way, I guess, according to him. Or if you already have it, it comes out a little bit less expensive than buying actual sticky flock. The way sticky flock is basically, it feels the same way the heat HTV flock does, but on the back it's an adhesive that you can stick and remove. So how he created, he took sticky flock. He took flock heat transfer vinyl, uses heat press, and pressed it down to 651, and then he cut out the design. Once you pull the backing away from the 651, you can tap the holes out, and you have basically a DIY sticky flock material to make your templates from. There are several people who use, and please excuse the mess, because I'm going to put my laptop down so that you can see. Again, I'm trying to reorganize. There's a lot of stuff on my desk, so so you can use a regular file folder. This is just an old raggedy one that I have. So you can use a file folder. You can use textured cardstock. You can use regular cardstock. Regular cardstock, like this one is made with Recollections. This one is not meant to be kind of long term because this paper is very thin, and with me adjusting the spacing, it becomes kind of weak. So I can only probably get a few uses out of this. The constant pulling it up and down will affect, and it'll start to break. And so yeah, so using thin cardstock, it's more of a temporary one. But I did for this one. This is regular, like I said, cardstock from Michael's, from the Rhinestones. I spray adhesive on it, and I actually put down on contact paper. So here is the contact paper. You can use the regular white one if you want. So I put it down on contact paper, use my brayer, really get it down, let it dry. So where, if I really want to pull it apart, I could pull it apart, but it sticks pretty good, okay? So I use that so that I can have the sticky back to where when you put it down on your pan or on a plate, it actually sticks, and you don't have to use a glue stick. You don't have to tape it down. It's actually going to stick. This particular one is made to fit just like your regular, these are just your regular stones, like from Joann's, Michael's, these are regular craft stones. But I just want you to see how they go and they fit in the wells. You see some of them kind of just drop in. So they actually drop into the wells. Because you're using the cardstock, it's a bit of a raised, it's not flush. It's like a bit of a raised surface. So I'm not getting the brush right now. Again, I'm trying to hurry up so I can get to practice. But you can see that they do fit in the wells. Okay. And even if you had, like with this, it doesn't really take long if you had to individually place the stones in each circle, in each hole. But yeah, so you can, you pour out a bunch on there, and you brush, softly. I'll go over like the pressure and all those things at a later time. But, brush over it to where, they'll fill in. Sometimes you will just have to go ahead and place one individually. But for the most part, that's that. You have to either order yourself some hot fix tape, or if you are a heat transfer carrier hoarder, you can use that as well, to where once you go and you have your stones in the wells, you can put the hot fix on top or the transfer carrier to lift it all up and then be able to take to your garment. So hot fix tape works best, like stone, and you can Google search for hot fix tape, so you can use that to transfer it, or you can, like I said, use your heat transfer carrier. If you're doing it for like a decal, you will have to order the actual material to where you, decal, like rhinestone decals, are nothing more than hot fix rhinestones, a heat pressed to basically like a vinyl material. And that's all the actual, like, ones, like the decals for like windows that are rhinestones. It's just hot fix pressed to basically something like 651. Rhinestone World calls it a special decal material, but it's basically like a clear 651. And that's how you make your rhinestone decals that are not for clothing. It's like for windows and things like that. I'm going to show you with this one. Here are my stones. When it comes to cutting this one, I would tell you, I can tell you what I cut this at, but again, I have a blade that's about 2 years old. So my settings are different. The settings that I use, if you have a fairly new blade, it may cut right through your material and cut all the way through. So normally, the good thing about like having, you can do it with having the folder closed, but essentially what having the folder, and then you can see I tape it right here. It's so that when you cut it, you have the backing there. It's not cutting all the way through. And if it was a good cut, the pieces will fall basically into the folder, and then you can just dump them in the trash. If you go and you cut this directly onto your sticky mat, you're going to have 1,000,001 little circles on your mat that you're going to have to scrape off. So you want to have something else there to catch it, so that you don't have it all on your mat. So you can use either the file folders to where once you cut it, it will, you know, you can tap it into here, or tap it like inside and then dump it out, or just hold it over your trash can, tap it. I debated on what to share. This particular, my kind of secret to doing this, but I will share, you know, I kind of debated whether I want this for the advanced class. Well, it is a part of my advanced class, but I'm going to share it with you guys. I take once, again, this is contact paper here. This is the cardstock. I actually put, I take the back off of another sheet of piece of contact paper. Actually, where is the one from this? Is this it? Yeah. So I'm not wasting this piece. Let me put this back on its backing. So what I did was the other sheet of contact paper, it actually goes, either you can do it before it cuts or after it cuts. You put this down on here like this, and then burnish it really well, like, you know, maybe even with your braid, or rub it really hard with your fingers. And then when you lift it up, all of your dots will be on the sticky part of the contact paper, and not on your. If you don't want to do the contact paper one, and you want to be able to just do cardstock or a file folder, you have to stabilize the template, because remember, you're going to be pushing the stones around to get into the wells. So you either have to just have cardstock, and then either use spray adhesive or a glue stick to stick it to, you know, you can use like a cookie sheet or a regular like pie pan or something like that. You can put it inside there, and you can use glue on it. Or if you want to keep a, you know, Cricut mat, because there are a lot of mats, because they're sticky. If you want to put your on there, the paper will stick to the mat, so it's not going to move as you move your stones to try and set inside the wells. So those are a couple different ways that you can create a template, and how you can have it stick down, because it does need to be stuck down to where it's going to move as you move the stones around. Okay. I have to go to cheer practice, guys. But do you all have any questions over just like the basics of rhinestones before I rush like I am Superman or the Flash and put my cheer clothes on? Any questions whatsoever? All right, if you are happening to watch the playback of this, if you have any questions, go ahead, leave them as a comment below, and I will do my best to answer your question when I come back from cheer practice, okay? All right, thank you guys for joining me. I will talk to you later. Bye.